Hi and welcome to Seek Sustainable Japan. I'm JJWalsh, your host, and this is an episode from a talk I gave to a local women's group here in Hiroshima, Japan, where I'm based. Optimism for sustainable tourism in Japan. How can we find strategies for keeping the value for people and planet with profits in balance? There's some real fun ideas here, a really great group of women. I was so encouraged by looking out and seeing all of their smiling faces, their nodding heads, and I loved that they engaged and shouted out some great ideas as well. So it was lots of fun to give this talk. I give examples here of more impactful, more meaningful visitor experience tourism and how that really intersects, it really connects with sustainable strategy. How can we keep value of quality of life for local people, as well as quality of experience for visitors, as well as take care of our staff and think about preserving and taking care of the environment. How that also intersects with a very positive, appealing brand, and how to display that more sustainable brand. As always, I would be more than happy to hear from you. Like, comment, share with someone who you think might enjoy, but also reach out inboundambassador@gmail.com. You can always find me, or on the social medias, JJWalsh or Inbound Ambassador, the name of my business. Thank you very much for having me, the Hiroshima International Women's Club. I'm honored to be here. Thank you very much for the wonderful introductions as well. I grew up in Hawaii from 2 months old and then went to California for university, and now most of my life is in Hiroshima. And I feel like all three places have really seen the positive and the negative of tourism, right? I grew up in Hawaii. You know who the number one inbound tourist to Hawaii, the businesses love to welcome, is Japanese visitors, right? And now I'm in Hiroshima, and we are also trying to welcome the good visitors, the visitors we want to come and enjoy our culture, enjoy our meaningful places in Japan. And that's why Hawaii people love Japanese visitors, because you appreciate the culture in Hawaii. You want to stay longer. So many ideas from my childhood and my time in America and time in Japan is all related to how we can have a better future for tourism and business. So thank you so much for coming today. I would like to start with talking about what I'm wearing. Can you guess my brands? What shoes am I wearing? Do you know this shoe brand? It's made in Hiroshima. Oh, really? In the city town of Fuchu. Oh. Do you know what shoes are made in Hiroshima? Wood? No. Do you know the brand? Now, I discovered the brand when I was visiting Fukuoka. I was in the airport and I said, these shoes are so cool. And he said, oh, yeah, they're reusing the old material from alligator skins from Australia. They're actually made in Japan. And I was like, that's amazing. Where in Japan? He said, Hiroshima. No way, I'm from Hiroshima. They're Spingle move. So there's so few made in Japan shoes, right? Actually, everything is made in Japan. So it's part of my brand, made in Hiroshima product. Can you guess where my sweater is from? What brand? From Hiroshima. It's not from Hiroshima. It's an international brand, but we have a branch in Hiroshima City. Now this branch, if I bought this is second-hand. It's wonderful, I love it, but it had a different owner. If I break it, I can take it back to the shop and they will help me repair it. What brand is it? A little question for you. A little quiz. Anyone? Can you read it? Patagonia. Oh. So Patagonia, the owner of Patagonia said his most important stakeholder is the earth. Oh. And so as a business leader, he's very unusual to have a real focus on the people who work there and the planet. So very sustainable brand. So why talk about what I'm wearing? Oh, also, this is always fun to introduce. This is my bag. When I'm going around guiding, a lot of local people say, why do you have a knight on your bag? Why knight? Why Yoru? Right? Do you know why? Why? This bag is from reused material. Can you guess what material it's reused from? Go ahead, Allison.
It's a sail. No?
Not a sail, but that's a good guess. So it's made of a hard, long-wearing plastic. It used to be on the highway. It used to be a highway sign to maybe tell you, be careful driving at night, or don't fall asleep if you're driving at night, right? But now, why we don't need this anymore? Because now the sign is digital. So instead of throwing it away, this company thought, that's a good material, it's waterproof, let's reuse it. Right? So I got it from Rakuten. It's Hataraki Tote, it's called. Circulation brand. So this I got maybe 10 years ago, but it's a great bag. I use it all the time. So why talk about what I'm wearing, what I'm holding? It's part of my brand, right? I have my own reusable bottle. I have my own hashi, my shopping bag. It's my brand. And that's what we want from businesses. That's also what we want from tourism destinations. When the tourist destination, when people visit and they see, oh, I can refill my bottle here. I met someone from Saijo. Right? And I said, I love to take visitors to Saijo because there are many really high quality water fountains to refill your bottle. They use that beautiful water to make sake. So it's a beautiful part of the Saijo brand, is the beautiful, nice water refill places. Very sustainable part of the brand, right? Yeah, so my brand, the business brand, the destination brand, how do you show your high value, but you care about the environment, you care about local people and your staff and the visitor. So today we're talking about 3 Ps a lot: people, planet, profit, inbound. Okay? So that's one of the main themes. Now, looking at the picture here, what's happening in the picture here? It's not your typical tourism photo. Any guess, where is that? Where is that on the tour? Shrine? It looks like a shrine.
It's the 1,000-mat tatami mat on Miyajima.
Yes, it's under the 1,000, Senjokaku, under the 1,000-mat tatami room. Now, why do I do training? I tell the guides, take them under there. What is she talking about? Traditional, Japanese, sustainable design. Because a lot of old buildings in Japan are fitted together without nails, without cement. So if you want to repair one part, you can do it without destroying everything. You want to move it, take it apart, move it, rebuild it, reuse the materials. It's a beautiful example of traditional Japanese culture and sustainability and something we should bring back and because it's so valuable, right? So we should use it also in the future. This picture, what's happening here? This is a local knife seller, Japanese-made knives. And on the tours, I always encourage guides to engage with the local shopkeepers, especially shopkeepers who are so passionate about preserving Japanese culture. And he collects knives from artisans around Japan and really promotes the culture. And inbound visitors love buying high quality, made in Japan items. So it enhances their visit. Even if they don't buy something here, it's education, it's awareness. Oh wow, this exists. They want to visit Japan again. They want to look for the next knife shop, right? And if you buy a high quality product like this, you can use it for many years. I told my daughter when I bought one, I said, this is gonna be yours. I wanna pass it on to you, because he said, if it breaks, we can repair it. If it needs a new handle, we can fix it. And we need to think about buying high quality for many years if we buy anything new, right? Backstreet views, trying to avoid crowds. That's a really key part of quality tourism now. It also helps you talk to some small shops. Maybe they don't have so many visitors, right? What's happening next? Refilling your water bottle. It's for your health. Is it only for visitors? No. It's so hot, right, in summer. Really from June, July, August, September, sometimes October, it's too hot. You need to drink for your health. Not just visitors, but also local people should have many opportunities to refill and drink and hydrate. It's good for your health. It's dangerous if you don't. But in the hottest time this summer, there were so many vending machines sold out and nowhere to refill. So this is a problem. We need more refilling places. This is an app called MyMizu app. You can download for free, and it shows you all the places you can refill your bottle for free. So all of the places in Saijo is on the MyMizu app, right? On Miyajima Island, there's 2 places. Not many, we need more, right? Next, showing the nice views away from the crowds. That's why guides are useful, but also that's why the magazine is useful, the website is useful, if you have good writers who can introduce that information to visitors before they come, because they're doing research, right? They want to travel well. Now, I talked a little bit too long. Now it's time for you to talk a little bit. Think about your favorite travel memory. So think back, what was your favorite travel memory? Why was it so special? And if you can't think of a past nice travel memory, you can think of your perfect future travel experience. So just think for a moment, close your eyes, think for a moment, and then talk to someone next to you. Share your idea, just for a few minutes, okay? Probably many of you talked about impactful travel. Some kind of trip where you had some kind of deep impression or impact. So how can we give that to visitors is always something to think about in tourism, right? The Japan Times today, they have a big feature in the New York Times section about how travel has changed in the last 20 years. How has it changed? Now, people are less interested in just seeing the most famous place. More interested in meaningful, impactful travel. So 4 places like Hiroshima, 4 places in rural Japan, this is really good news. Because They don't care about seeing the Golden Pavilion. It's beautiful, but it's too crowded. It's too busy, right? They want to engage with local people. They want to have more meaningful travel. So that's a really good trend in the last 20 years in the world. Now for me, these are 4 deeply impactful experiences I had. So on the left, this is the town of Kamikatsu in Tokushima. And I'll talk about it a bit more. It's one of my most impactful places. In the same year, I went to Kamikatsu, the zero-waste town. I also went to San Francisco, and there was similarities. I see. Kamikatsu has 1,300 people living there. San Francisco has 1 million, same as Hiroshima. But they were both really focused on waste management. Both do mandatory composting. We should do mandatory composting, is my feeling after visiting Kamikatsu in San Francisco, because immediately I started putting my kitchen waste into my garden. Immediately my garbage went down 30%. San Francisco, 1 million people, 30% decrease mandatory composting. Kamikatsu, 1,300 people, 30% down when they did mandatory composting. So it's something really, wow, this is something I can do and also have a big effect. Hiroshima, of course, really impacted me the first time I visited. So much that years later, when I was looking for a job and there was a job in Hiroshima, I was really happy to go there. Now, in Japan now, we need more people who want to come and work and live in Japan. So Hiroshima is doing something right. They have good transportation. We have a very cycle-friendly, walk-friendly city. And we have this deep, meaningful connection to peace. Lots of important events come here. Many of those things made me really want to come live here. This is my kids. Many years ago. But family travel was so important as a way to connect and help raise our kids. So maybe for many of you too, with loved ones, with friends and family, is so important. So it's much more about making them happy when they're young, right? Much less about me, more about them. What do you want to do? If they're happy, we are happy, right? But then, doing solo travel, doing yoga retreat, having time to meditate, to be quiet, to refresh myself, to think about who am I? What kind of life do I want to live? Also, very important, right? Especially for women. We often forget to take care of ourselves, right? So really enjoy travel that's healing, that's refreshing for yourself. I love that story about the pilgrimage, right? The 88 temple pilgrimage on Shikoku, and the idea you're wearing white, you're like a floating ghost when you do the pilgrimage. When you finish, you're supposed to have a feeling of rejuvenation. I'm going to live my life in a meaningful way after, before you die, right? That's how we should all live, right? But if you don't take time to yourself to be healthy, to stop thinking about all the things you have to do, you're not being good to yourself, you can't live a good life, right? So that's also really important to think about. Now, we have some numbers here. 2024, 36.8 million, and 68 million. What are those numbers? Anyone? Yes, tourist numbers. Very good. What are the 2 different numbers? This is tourism in Japan, but what are the 2 different numbers? 36.8 million is international visitors, inbound visitors. Bigger than 2019. Japan is back for tourism. What is 68 million? Sometimes when we talk about tourism, we forget. Actually, there's more domestic tourists. Japanese tourism is more, right? So when you already have very popular places for Japanese tourism and the yen is weak, so you have more Japanese tourism and more inbound tourism, it's creating overcrowded problems, over-tourism problems, right? Now this year, even more, they're expecting 40 million for inbound and even more Japanese tourism because it's expected the yen is going to continue being weak. 70 million. So how do we manage crowds? Crowd management is so important for meaningful tourism, right? Local people in Kyoto often say, I don't want to live here anymore. I have no value to my life if I'm always surrounded by crowds, right? And I think the Hiroshima Museum, right? You're working at Hiroshima Museum, you see crowd management is so difficult, but so important. So there are some ideas here. How can we manage crowds better? What's this? This is one strategy, sustainable tourism strategy to try to thin the crowds. What's happening in the top? Older lady.
Waiting for her bus.
No. Yes, maybe I didn't create the right image, but what's happening behind her? Yes. Sunrise, early morning. Now, I put older women because older people, they like waking up early, right? I do too. I wake up at 5. And so when I go to Kyoto, if I want to go to any of the most popular sites, I always go as early as possible. I was at Kiyomizu-dera at 6 a.m. Who was around me? All local people, all local Japanese people. And they were so friendly, and they were like, oh, you come early too. Come do radio taiso with us. And I was like, thank you so much, but no, I'm good. Yeah. I went to Fushimi Inari Shrine, 4 a.m. Because it's open 24/7. It's always open. It never closes. Because it's so popular. Why not? Peace Park is also open 24/7. Why don't we light up the Ibomdom all night? Why don't we encourage people to come in the middle of the night? They maybe have a big impact. Why not? Right? There's no reason. And then evening, later in the evening. To be honest, I would love to see online reservations, people coming by themselves to the Memorial Museum from 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. Maybe later, maybe longer, because that's 12 hours. And there's most people who visit Hiroshima, they really want to go to the museum, but it's just too crowded. They cannot appreciate all of the impactful information, powerful, they want to see it, but there's too many people, and it's not safe. It's also not safe. So another idea is Fast Pass. Any amusement park fans here? Why not do Fast Pass for the most popular destination? Do you understand? Fast Pass, yes? So if they go to the museum as early as they can, they get a Fast Pass. They can even pay for the Fast Pass. And then it tells you when you should come back to enter later when it's less crowded. Now, what do you do when you're waiting? You go and eat at a restaurant, you buy a coffee, you see other meaningful museum things. You're spending money while you're waiting, which is good for the economy, right? You're hiring a guide maybe to take you around to get a deeper impression. You're going to Orizuru Tower, you're finding about local products, right? There's so much value if you make people wait. problem with over-tourism, too many people at one time. We got two big reasons that happens. One, big groups come by bus, big groups come by cruise ship, right? We don't want 100 people to enter at the same time. That's a problem. If you have to wait in line to buy a ticket, it's thinning the crowd. It works. If you get people to buy a fast pass, you're spreading out the crowd. It works. But if you let 100 people go ahead of the line with a ticket, you just broke the system, right? It doesn't work. So we have to ask bus tours, students often come, big groups of students by bus tours. We have to get them to use some kind of system to thin it out. Another idea to thin it out is to add more buildings, add more space. Now, I love the idea that under Peace Memorial Park, all of those areas are used. There's so much meaningful artifacts, pictures, information. We can spread it out to other areas, to other buildings. Now, do you know this building? Who knows this building? Yes, it's in near Ujina. Near Ujina. Now, it is one of the oldest buildings we have in Hiroshima, and it's beautiful. It has beautiful red brick. That goes back to 1900, really far in Hiroshima's history. If you go to Yokohama, they have similar red brick buildings. They're reusing as restaurants and other. It has the heritage, the history, but modern use. So why not reuse these buildings? Now we want to preserve them. So I hope in the future we can have annex. You know, annex? Yes. Yeah. Sorry. What's that? That is inside. That's what it looks like inside the building. And there's 4 big warehouses. It's a really big facility. Even if you just use next to the facility, there's big open space. So we want to preserve these buildings. We don't know how, but let's start using them because it's near the cruise ship port. We could have the sightseeing Maple Loop bus stop there. We can use it. And it has so much history and heritage. It has impact, this building. The iron doors are wavy because it was affected by the bomb. We have so few examples of a bomb surviving building. So really hope we can use it. And it would really spread out the crowds. It would be wonderful to see Peace Park Museum artifacts there, but also artists. Why not artwork from Hiroshima MOCA, Hiroshima Museum Contemporary Art, modern art section, young artists from universities like we see in Naoshima go to do the artwork. Why not? One warehouse is young artists from around Japan to come show their art, and with international artists. Why not one section being restaurants and cafes to support local businesses? Why not have artisan, pottery, brushes, all of the made in Hiroshima products in one, right? It could be a great asset to spread peace tourism in Hiroshima. Yes?
You know, one of the suggestions by many people to the Hiroshima city is that Hiroshima, at least one building, we can remodel into another museum. You know that the students, they come by hundreds, right? And really crowd the main museum. So instead, why don't we bring them to here to make the displays and the exhibit much easier for children, for instance, like.
Exactly.
That,
Exactly.
I think is one of the.
100%.
That helps both.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And there's no reason we can't have a shuttle
Right, that's another
between
one.
Peace Park and
Exactly.
this area
Couple with a shuttle.
using existing sightseeing bus, right?
Right.
But our sightseeing bus, Maple Loop, could be better. It's good. It takes people around the city. It could be better. How? How could it be better? What's happening here? Solar energy, electric buses. Why? It's better for local people. Why? Clean energy. It doesn't make pollution. It captures carbon. It reduces carbon. Also, my son had a kind of asthma growing up. There's no emissions. So people walking next to the bus, no problem. They can breathe easily. There's no pollution from the cars. When you walk near the buses, often you smell, you breathe the gas. Right? It's not good for your health. Also, it's good branding. Hiroshima, City of Peace, electric buses, it fits really well. It's perfect, right? It's part of the positive brand. Hiroshima's peace image is connected to no war. What is the cause of war in the world? A lot of problems with war is caused by oil, fossil fuels. So if we don't use it, it's electric, it's clean, it's from the sun, driving on sunshine, right? You can reduce emissions, you can support local people, and over time, it's much cheaper. So you're also saving money. I drive an electric car. Japan's electric grid is great. You can charge everywhere. I also charge at my home. I have solar panels. So when I charge, when the sun is shining, I'm getting free energy. I'm driving on sunshine. It's a great feeling as well. So I think users would also enjoy using it. Oh, last one before I forget. What's happening here? This is another idea I'm really impressed by in Hawaii and should happen more in Japan.
Or extra tax for tourists.
No, but that's happening. That's happening. Yes. Okay, so a lot of castles, a lot of tourist destinations talking about raising prices, right? Yeah, you're right. You're right. But who is paying for the roads? Who is paying for the sewage system? Who is paying for the water system? Who is paying for the buses and trains in your area? It's the taxpayer. So why doesn't the taxpayer get some benefit for using hotels, using tourist sites, going to the museums? There should be a discount card for local taxpayers. Any visitor, Japanese visitor or international visitor, pays a little bit more, but the locals, you pay less. Now this helps with the locals' feeling of unfair. Zurue. Why all the visitors staying at the nice hotel? Why all the visitors using the bus, right? I can't live a nice life, but if you're a local taxpayer, you get a discount. Proud. I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to enjoy. Yes?
There's a very famous, what do you call it, like a bridge, suspension bridge in Vancouver that all the tour groups go to. If you live in North Vancouver and show ID, you can go for free. Because
the way to do it.
You're bringing all of your visitors, which you do, because you can go for free. So
And in Hawaii, it's called kama'aina. Kama'aina. So kama'aina is not a foreigner or Japanese. It's outsider, insider. The kama'aina is the taxpayer. So we need some kind of card for the taxpayer to get some benefit so they feel proud of where they live. And if the local is happy, it's good for tourists because the local is more welcoming. Thank you for coming, supporting my economy, right? You feel more of a balance. It's very important. Now, another important part of People, Planet, Profit is we have to have good people who act as bridges. So people who are writing articles about local artisans that maybe people wouldn't know about otherwise. These articles called Pieces, Piece of Peace, Pieces. I've got the link, but my husband wrote these articles about made in Hiroshima artisans, really high quality brush makers, potters, right? When I train guides, I always encourage them to tell stories of artisans, but also don't forget about women. Women's stories, especially in Hiroshima, are amazing, powerful. Women helped rebuild Hiroshima. We cannot forget them, right? So there's a famous Tokyo YouTuber. He did a beautiful video about Hiroshima's trams, and he highlighted the young girls who were working on the streetcar and told their story. Why don't we have a statue of the streetcar girls? Because their story is so interesting and so important for rebuilding and even during the wartime, right? So I love her story on the video, and she says, we never told the manager, but we said we don't take money if people don't offer money after the bombing. They had so much empathy for Hiroshima people, and they helped people go look for lost loved ones, or go find someone who is missing, or find a job, or get food, or do whatever they had to do. They had so much empathy. That story is not told enough. That is so impactful and so powerful. Do you know who this is? Her name is Yukie Oka. I talk about her every time I go around the castle grounds, because she was one of 10 young girls who's next to the shrine now, the bunker, the concrete bunker, and they survived. And she told her story about seeing everything is gone. She made the first call to headquarters to try to describe. She was 14. She is an amazing story of trying to help, trying to communicate, trying to be a leader, right? I only know her story. I've lived in Hiroshima almost 30 years. I never heard it. But I was reading National Geographic, and a writer named Ari Besser, he came from America, and he really wanted to document survivor stories because his grandfather was on the airplane that dropped the bomb. And he felt a very strong connection to want to do the right thing as a writer. And so his stories were shared on National Geographic. People around the world know her story. They know how brave she was, right? To stay and to communicate what happened. And maybe she helped end the war faster, because headquarters could think about, maybe we can't fight with this bomb, right? We don't know. We can't go back in time, but she's an amazing story to tell. Why her photo is not there. The 10 girls' photo is not there. Their story is not there at the bunker. Why not? So guides are important because they can tell these stories. Writers are important because they tell these stories. It's not political. It's important, right? We have to keep their history as well. Also, okonomiyaki. I love talking about how single mothers helped rebuild Hiroshima with okonomiyaki. A lot of single mothers started making okonomiyaki in the stalls. I met one of the survivor okonomiyaki shops. She had a very wrinkly teppan. Her teppan had lots of wrinkles. And I said, your teppan looks, is it really old? It looks old. And she said, me and the other single mothers, we went down to Ujina. We took metal off of the old ships. And that was my first cook. Amazing, amazing. So I tell that story every time. Single mothers, wow, powerful. They help rebuild Hiroshima. So we shouldn't forget, a lot of okonomiyaki came from the power of single mothers. Yay, amazing. Now, across Japan, one of the really influential influences is this man, Alex Kerr. Do you know Alex Kerr? Anybody? Alex Kerr first came to Japan when he was in his early teens, really young, but his family loved travel and they loved Asia and they loved Japan. So he said he went to Miyajima and Hiroshima when he was about 10. And then years later, he was a student at Oxford and he came over and he was studying in Tokyo, but he said he was never there. He was always traveling around Japan, and he had a deep love of rural Japan. And he really fell in love with a mountainous area, a beautiful valley called AiAii Valley in Teshima. And he was a young man, he was a student, he didn't have money, but he saw an old house and it was vacant, no one was living there, and he asked to buy it. And then he spent a lot of time renovating, redoing the roof by himself. And then years later, many years later, he started getting government funding and redo the house, bringing the old MINKA into modern relevance. Wow. So it's an old MINKA, but beautiful big windows, insulation, modern toilet, heating and cooling, right? He said this is the most important picture on the website, the modern toilet. So bringing the old traditional houses, which are so beautiful, you want to keep the tradition, but nobody wants to stay if it's not comfortable and high quality and beautiful and stylish. And so his aim was to spend a lot of money to renovate, and the aim was international visitors, but it's really popular with Japanese visitors. They love staying here, right? So even Japanese visitors, you like it if it's comfortable, right? Same. So he has now done 50 projects around Japan. And he does many seminars for government. He's fluent in Japanese, so he'll do seminars in Japanese, really encouraging governments in rural areas to invest in these beautiful old houses, to renovate because they have so much value for tourism. But also value for bringing new residents to come. Yes. Right? So whenever he does a project, new residents come and they work there. And then after a few years, they bring their family there. And then they start their own business. Or they start their own restaurant which caters to his guests, right? So it's a real great example of high quality, sustainable, valuable, meaningful, slow tourism. You cannot go just for the day. It's hard to go there. You have to stay, right? There are bus trips that go there. Maybe they just see the Vine Bridge in AiAii Valley, but they don't get the deep impact, right? So you have to stay at least 1 or 2 nights. Now, Kamikatsu, very similar, but very different in other ways. So Kamikatsu is a beautiful small village. Why are they called the Zero Waste Town? Anybody know? It came from necessity. They had no money. They had no money to make an incinerator, to make a landfill. They had no money to even have a garbage truck. There's a small town, they got no money. So when Tokushima government changed the rule, you cannot have an open fire of garbage, what do we do? So their government officers, local organization, and the community was all talking together, what should we do? What should we try? And they made a central garbage area where now they have thousands of visitors going just to learn about how they're doing garbage separation. Now, how many garbage categories do you have at your house? How many different categories? So you have aluminum, glass, recyclables, right? And then you have plastic, and then you have burnable, usually 3. How many do you think they do? 20, 50, 50 is closer, 45 categories. Why? Because they want to reuse absolutely everything possible. So they have so many different categories. Different colored glass is different category. Different kind of paper is different category. And most of what they want to separate, they want to reuse, so they have a lot of reuse ideas. The building is also reused. Beautiful, stylish, creative building for the hotel, for the waste center, for the brewery. Reused old windows, old doors from abandoned akiya, and they took it and stylishly reused it. So what a great example of how to reuse. What is this? This is at the kuru-kuru shop. So kuru-kuru, reuse, reuse, right? What is this originally? Can you guess? No? Yes, yes. So they have a beautiful valley and a river, and every summer they hang lots of carp fish, koinobori. But when it gets broken, what do? Well, only some of it's broken. The rest I can reuse it, so they make jackets and bags and lots of things. Now, you'll see kimono reused, right? In Miyajima and other places. Reusing the beautiful material is very appealing, right? They also have local entrepreneurs and organizations. She's an arborist. So we did a nice hike with her through the forest, and she was talking about the health of the trees, what they're trying to do to make the forest more healthy. That was wonderful to really learn. Everybody wants to connect to nature because you can feel healthier and happier, right? And she can tell you more. This is also connected to trees, but the hotel is an onsen hotel, so they have a nice hot spring. Now, how do they heat the water? Now, Kamikatsu is a valley, so they don't have so much sunshine. So they promised the people who are working to thin the forest, they will buy the wood because there's too much sugi. Who has allergies? Anybody has allergies, right? So this area was famous for its forest, but when they cut the trees and they replanted one kind of tree, it's not a healthy forest. So they want to reuse the tree, but when I visited the first time, one tree, they can only sell it for 1,000 yen. 1,000 yen, only one tree, what? But it costs the worker a lot more money to go and cut it and to take it to the lumberyard, right? So the hotel said, we will buy your trees at a good price. We will support your efforts to make a healthy forest. And so they use the wood to boil the water to make the onsen, biomass. So there's some problems with biomass if you are using wood that should be used for something else, but in this case, it's a very good use of local wood. I have some more pictures here. Oh, okay, so Momona is amazing. She works at Zero Waste Hotel Y. So when you check in to the Zero Waste Hotel, it's very unusual reception. And she says, okay, so here's some coffee. So how much coffee do you think you will need when you're staying? Please decide. And then you decide, okay, maybe I need this much. And she's like, you can always get more later. Yeah, don't worry, you can come back and get more later. So you only take what you need. Soap. Next is soap. How much soap do you think you need? Please cut a little bit of soap. Really interesting, innovative, and fun. I loved it. And then at the end of your stay with Momona, you go around the waste center to put your waste back. Some of the waste you can put to compost. Hopefully you don't have too much waste because it's embarrassing, but it's a great example of how it's done. I have so many questions, right? When I go around, how do you throw this away? How do you throw that away? And they now have businesses, companies from Tokyo coming to learn. Who is coming from the company? The designer of the product. Because imagine, for example, you have a heated rug. Is the heated rug only one kind of material? No, there's multiple materials. There's some kind of fiber, cotton. There's also plastic. There's also metal inside. So at the facility, the designer who made that design, their activity is to take it apart because you can't throw it away like that. So it's good learning for them. Oh, I'm not going to design it like that anymore, right? He works at the hotel. So if you stay at the onsen hotel, he has a lot of student groups. And one of the things he does is shows you the leaf business. Can you believe they sell their beautiful leaves?
Maybe fallen leaves?
Hapa. From the trees. And so they said the most valuable leaves are persimmon leaves, beautiful yellow speckled. So if you're eating at a fancy restaurant, your leaf might come from Kamikatsu. They're famous for selling leaves. So he'll give you a tour of the leaf garden. And he'll explain about biomass and supporting the forest. She is amazing. She works at the Rise and Win Craft Brewery. And she's a young staff who came from another city, Osaka, I think. And she brought her young family. So her kids are in the local school. Her kids keeping the school going because she came as a family, right? But she talks about, when I first came to Kamikatsu, I was like, zero waste, what is that nonsense? Mendokusai, right? And then she talks about, but over time she realized, wow, this is a good place to raise a family. This is really important for my kids. And so her personal experience is really impactful to hear, right? They also are attracting foreigners. So Kana and Linda are both Canadians who heard about Kamikatsu because of maybe my video or my article or somebody else. Kamikatsu is sometimes in the media. And they wanted to come and work and live there. And now together with one of the longtime local business people, Azuma Terumi and Sakano Akira, they were two of the women who really started moving forward with supporting local people and making more, less waste. What can we do? Lots of good ideas. So these two heard about Terumi. Her mother also was really excited about reusing, even before zero waste. Her mother taught her about reusing everything. I think many of you, your mothers, your grandmothers, they don't waste anything, right? Mottainai culture. So when I first visited, Terumi gave me a tour of the zero waste facility. She explained how some things like plastic, it costs the town people money because plastic you cannot recycle. So you have to pay to take it away. Now, when you have a town with no money, that's a big problem. So they try to emphasize the other one, the recyclable, the aluminum can. They get money. They can sell it. So that helps support their town. So they show very clearly how much it costs, how much you get. And that really supports local people to shop carefully. Because you want to support your community. You don't want to create more burden, cost for your community. So transparency, really important. This is me after I stayed at the hotel, and then I have some like peel of the orange, and I had some other food waste, and so they showed me how to do composting, and you know, you can do it, dig it in, how do you do it? So you're decreasing that unfamiliarity. Oh, compost, okay. A lot of people don't know, right? But oh, let's do it together, you know? Okay. Then you really learn it, right? Now, I won't say her name, but I went to do this consulting with that woman there. She hated it. She hated doing waste sorting. She hated doing composting. She thought it was so embarrassing. I don't like it. I'm the customer, right? So not everybody is gonna be excited about this. I'm a garbage geek. I love thinking about sustainability, but it's not everybody. But I bet, even though she hated it, she went home, she thought about it. So even though she was not happy then, I bet she's happy. Oh, so this is a leaf tour. And then another guy up in the mountain, he's running a bar, and he's really focused on helping local people. So he helped start a community taxi service. So a lot of local people, they have no taxis. So a lot of local people created a community taxi system. So if people need to pick up from Teshima station, you can book them and pay them, and they'll pick you up and bring you to Kamikatsu, because it's kind of hard to get to, right, by public transport. He'll go for free to pick up the elderly neighbors, to bring them to the bar, and then for free take them home because they've been drinking, right? So very focused on helping community, building community. Amazing. This guy renovating an old thatch house to make a guest house, and really beautifully done. I'm so excited about Onomichi.
Yeah.
Any fans of Onomichi here? You guys been to Onomichi? Amazing. Why Onomichi is just booming? Many reasons. But I think being able to create a place where entrepreneurs want to come and do a business, really exciting. These two women, they're from Onomichi. They came back, right? The U-turn, right? So she studied abroad, she worked in Tokyo, she came back. She's working at U2. U2 is a reused warehouse, right? So another sustainability. They're supporting the Shimanami Kaido cyclists.
Yeah.
So you're already getting so many people coming who want to do sustainable travel because they want to cycle. That's very sustainable and healthy and fun, right? She started an organization called AiAii Saisei. She has made use of over 200 vacant Akiya. She invited artists to come and rent for like 5,000 yen 1 month. You can use it. Just to get people to come and live in Onomichi. And then they're renting very cheap. Oh, I like Onomichi. Onomichi is nice. And then they buy or they rent their place and they stay a long time. So getting new residents is really key. She works for Log. Anybody been to Log? Log? No? Log is now connected to Gansu. connected to Bella Vista, same business now. But Log was an old apartment building on the hill, no road access, only stairs. And so they thought, nobody wants to come here, but they have a designer from India, beautifully designed, Japanese designers do the inside all washi paper. It's really beautiful. They are very high quality everything, high quality dining. But you have to walk up the stairs, and the guests, they don't mind because it's so special. They are okay to do that. We had the Women Inspire event at Log, so she talked about her journey as well, as a woman in business, as a woman entrepreneur. We need to support women in business too, right? Do you know him? Tea Factory Gen. He took over an old tea plantation in Setoda, and he's making organic tea. Very high quality, beautiful organic tea. His tea was served at the G7. Very, very beautiful, high quality. And he has two places in Onomichi, Tea Factory Gen and Tea Stand Yamate. Both of them old Akiya, he renovated into the tea house. Beautiful design. Even the wall is made from the used tea in the wall. Beautiful. Tina is from Australia, but she loved Onomichi so much. She bought a house in Onomichi just to come back and use every few months. She'll come back for a month, go back to Australia, come back. And so she's preserving the old house, she's renovating, she's helping the community by keeping the house nice, but as a visitor. She brings women cyclists. So she brings big groups of women to come and cycle Shimanami Kaido. Women cyclists from Australia. You can do it. Even if you're older. Even if you're not super fit. You can do it, right? So she's really inspirational. Onomichi Brewery, also young couple. They were professionals in Tokyo. They want a new life. They came to Onomichi, started a brewery, reused the old glass factory, like beautiful story. Do you know Onomichi Denim? Onomichi Denim story is really interesting. What job did this person have? So every jeans they sell has a story of a local person. So this was a local preschool teacher. She's often on her knees talking to the kids and then wiping things or cleaning, right? So when you buy the jeans, you buy a story of local people. What a creative, original idea, right? So Onomichi is doing something right. You're creating a place where creative people want to come, and then this product is so appealing, the story is appealing, it brings more visitors and then more residents. So their Shotengai is alive. Not ghost town, it's alive. Now if you go over the bridge or over on the ferry, the next island is Mukaishima. Anybody been to Mukaishima? Now Mukaishima is becoming the next place. Onomichi is very popular, many places used. Now people looking for next place, Mukaishima. Thomas and Kaori, do you know Kaori Nizato?
Yeah.
She's famous in Hiroshima. She does a radio show, right? She also is really interested, really passionate about natural dying, natural life. She saved a local canvas shop. They were making canvases for the sailboats, and nobody needs that anymore. And she's like, no, wait, I will buy it from you. I will buy your canvas. So she kept them alive, the business alive. And then she's using natural dyes to make beautiful natural colors from her original designs. Do you know what this beautiful brown color, how do you get the brown color? natural dye? What fruit? Persimmon, yes. She's fermenting persimmon and making this beautiful brown color. Now, her partner, Thomas, he came from America. He's a family, his father was a farmer too, and he's doing no-till organic farming, and he has animals. He has big sheep, and the sheep will eat the weeds, and the goats, and the chickens, and the pigs. He's got all sorts of animals and organic farming, so no vegetables, no pesticides, no chemicals, everything naturally. And he often, of course, selling vegetables, but also education. People come to learn about organic farming there. Kaori also does many workshops, so she's teaching about natural dyes. Do you know this business? Ushio chocolate. Ushio chocolate's also in Mukaishima, also reusing old buildings. All the chocolate is vegan. All of the chocolate material, nuts material, sugar, they go to talk to them, create a direct, fair trade. They don't speak Vietnamese, but they go and they use a local translator and they directly want to support the farmer. Wow, amazing, right? They also support local artists and musicians to make the design. They support their women at the business to be brave, and you can be a manager and support them. It's wonderful. Sasara, she does Soranoki Organics on the other side of Mukaishima as well. She came from Tokyo as a single mother and raising her child in Mukaishima and building community. So it's a really beautiful story of natural materials, clothes, and building a new community there. Now, in the news recently, your Prime Minister, Ishiba, one of his agenda is to promote rural revitalization, right? So I really have high hopes for Ishiba. He can support people like this who are trying to rebuild rural areas. We need government support and entrepreneurs and build the community. It's everything, right? All right, maybe almost last. Onomichi City, Setoda. Setoda is a great example of how one business, like Naoshima, like Benesse, really changed Naoshima to make an art island. Setoda company came in and they renovated old buildings, Azumi, and soil, and they rebranded Setoda. So they elevated tourism. They made a beautiful onsen, if you go there. They made a beautiful guest house. This is a budget one. And this is a little bit more expensive, and then very expensive. So having the 3 levels, that's a really good business strategy. And it doesn't exclude anyone, right? It's a really nice, sustainable business model. It's a beautiful area. They have lots of ferries. So you can get a ferry from Mihara Station. You can get a ferry from Onomichi. So it's very well connected. So it's a good foundation to build a successful community. They have lots of potential. So since they came, lots of other businesses have come. So now you have more entrepreneurs coming in, making the Shotengai more lively. I visited before they came, and I was, oh no, Setoda is becoming a ghost town. And then once they came, wow, Setoda is awesome! Everybody wants to go to Setoda, how amazing, right? So really good example how a business can support the community. Last examples, Omishima. So the next island, Danny and Evan are an amazing example. They do a business called Benton Homestead. Now, how did they come to Japan? They came directly from America to Omishima. How? What? Because AiAii has a visa program called Startup Visa. And they encourage people to come from abroad to start a business. And so they bought the old house, they renovated it to a guest house, and then also doing farming, but they had to show they had a successful business in 1 year. They did, so now they get 3 years. So that's a really good way to get international people to come. Now they have become amazing bridges. They have an amazing YouTube channel. They explain how to buy an old Akiya, how to renovate, how to do taxes, how to do visa. They're explaining to help more people do it because it's not easy. Paperwork is hard, right? Visas is hard. Renovation's hard. But they're just so encouraging, and they said the reason they love Omishima, they went to visit, there's many good quality Akiya, so it has lots of potential to rebuild, and the local people were so supportive and welcoming and encouraging, and that makes a big difference, right? Also in Omishima is Waka. Waka is very supportive of cyclists. They have really stylish guest houses. They have a cycle support taxi. So if you're doing Shimanami Kaido and you have a problem, you can call Waka, they'll come help you. And that's really important in Japan. A lot of visitors, they don't know Japanese enough to communicate if there's a problem, to go to the hospital or something, right? Also, they have some beautiful old shrine there, amazing old tree, right? So you hire a local guide to learn more about the temple. Teshima, who's been to Teshima? Anybody? Yeah? Teshima's the next, right? Next to Naoshima. Everybody knows Naoshima. Naoshima's so famous. Teshima's amazing, but much less developed. There's a young couple there. He's from Australia. She's from Japan. They met working in tourism in Australia. So they're bringing the knowledge about good hospitality, good tourism back to Teshima. They renovated an old house, and every morning he does the Zen garden, Zen rock garden, and he did a lot of the renovations himself. When they bought the house, there was no view. So he cut all the bushes and created this beautiful view. So someone who comes in has a vision is so important, right? Vision, know about hospitality, know about high quality. Last one, AiAii in Awaiji. I interviewed her on my show. They're growing aizome, indigo. They're making the fermentation. So when you're doing the aizome workshop, it's okay for you. It's okay for the staff. Doesn't hurt you. And when you grow it organically, doesn't hurt the earth. And then after using, goes back to nature, no problem. Back in the river, no problem. So indigo, aizome can be very, very sustainable. Circular, we often call about circular now. From the growing, from the beginning to the end. You have to think, right? The circular way. She won the Best Sustainable Prize this year. Another reason they won is because she's an English speaker from UK. He's a Japanese speaker from Japan. So they can do both Japanese tourism and English tourism. And everybody is welcome. Families, welcome. You have a wheelchair? Welcome. Everybody is welcome. You have disability? No problem. We will cater to you. So this kind of business is still rare in Japan. Everyone is welcome. English, Japanese, no problem. And just talking about the points, unique appeal, be welcoming, be self-sufficient. Can we have more renewable energy? Can we have more wind, more solar, more electric cars and buses? Leaders and collab, we need to appeal to ambassadors. So people who come and live and then they tell others about it. So how do we appeal to new residents who will be ambassadors? So many important points there. And that's it. Thank you very much.